And welcome back. I want to welcome to the program retired Newsday photographer and president of the Laguna Woods Camera Club, John Cornell Jr. Thank you for joining us, sir.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, well, I want to talk about how you got into being the camera club. I'm guessing that when they found out you were a Pulitzer Prize-winning photographer, you were suddenly the president of the camera club.
I did a docent tour, and we happened to be in Clubhouse 4, and this guy who I don't know came out and said, "Are they going to take you to the camera, the photo lab?" And I said, "I have no idea." I said, "But I've got a Pulitzer Prize." "Oh, you got to move here and you got to be part of the club." And that's how it all started. And I moved in April of 23 as a renter and bought a piece of property.
And you said, "That's for you."
Yep.
And I've got a picture of that masthead of the website there for the club, and also you in the classroom. Kind of, what do you do when you kind of looks like you were teaching a class in one of the pictures you sent us?
Right now, I'm teaching a class on how to put a photo story together.
Okay.
We have classes in Photoshop. We have classes in Lightroom, with portraiture, pet photography. You name it, we have a class. And it's open to all the residents in the community. They don't have to be members of the camera club.
Right.
And you can come and you can print your images there by professionals.
Okay. And you also do kind of little tours. Not only do you do a kind of camera, but we've had this picture of the two members of the club kind of looking at a kind of a display or a dice display somewhere.
That was at the Los Angeles County Camera Club.
Okay.
Up in LA. That photograph is those cubes reflect on that wall behind them.
Oh, okay.
And you can buy that display for a measly $5,000.
That's all.
Our next trip is tomorrow, and we're going up to the Bergamot Center in Santa Monica. After that, Cirque du Soleil. And then we're going up to Cypress College and the Holocaust Museum up there.
Okay. Now, how did you first get interested in photography? Did it start back in the high school days, or taking classes then, or?
No, it started way before then. I had those little brownies.
Okay, wow.
And I took a picture of a horse on a rail somewhere in Long Island. I don't remember where. And my mother entered it in the Roslyn Savings Bank photo contest, and I won first prize.
Oh, wow. And
that was the beginning.
Okay, and that just set it off for you.
That set it off, and then I went to Rochester Institute of Technology, have a Bachelor of Fine Arts there, and I studied with a famous photographer by the name of Minor White. Anybody listening can look him up. And I wrote a letter to Newsday because nobody else on Long Island wanted a freshman photo student for the summer, and they were looking for an intern.
Right, we were just looking at the picture now of the very famous picture you took after you'd been there for certainly a while of the TWA Flight 800 crash, and that is the one that led to your Pulitzer.
Yes, that's the cockpit of the plane coming up. We're on the top of a motel across the street from the Coast Guard station.
This is back in 1996 of July. For folks who don't maybe remember, need a refresher on that.
I don't remember. I mean, that whole month. I mean, we camped out there for a whole month, and that started what became the group of 50 of us who would travel to major stories across the country. So we would end up at the Hanging Chad, or the plane crash off of Martha's Vineyard, Kennedy's crash in Martha's Vineyard.
All of those things, and you with that team. What's it like, for folks who don't know what a Pulitzer might be, we're meeting a little refresher, it is probably the highest honor in all of journalism, and it's in multiple categories for feature writing, for news, breaking news, for photography. You not only won for photography, but also team reporting.
Right, it was a team reporting. I didn't win it for photography.
Oh, okay, yes.
It was part of the winning set of images that they sent in. But it's sponsored by Columbia University, and it's probably one of the most prestigious medals, awards that you can receive in journalism. And we had, I mean, I think the paper at that time had 7 or 8 Pulitzers.
And what was it like when you found out? Were you in the newsroom? Were you out on an assignment? When did you find out?
I was in the newsroom, and it was champagne time. We had, we spent months on that story. The first month was out there, and then we delved into it deeper and deeper.
And you also covered Doctors Masters and Johnson. I know we have a photo of that couple there. Tell us a little bit about how you got into that story. Refresh folks on who they were.
Dr. Masters and Johnson were the sex therapists of the 60s, 70s.
Right.
In there, and it was part of we did an interview with them in New York City. And my part of it was to make an image that stopped the reader. And that's all what I had to do, was stop the reader so that they would read the story. And this was probably for our magazine section.
And it's one of those images like, ooh, this is interesting, right? Oh, what's this about? And that's, like you see on the internet today, they call it clickbait, that picture, what's this story about kind of thing. So when you have that kind of eye, when you have the opportunity to feature a story, I know breaking news is breaking news and you do your best, but when you have that idea, what's your thought process going into, how do I make this shot more interesting than the usual stand next to each other with shoulders and smile?
That's that's a key phrase. In teaching a picture story now, I tell the students, you have to find that one image that's going to stop people. And that image is your start, and that's what this was. Right.
And it is a compelling kind of image. You have her looking kind of towards the camera and him looking away, and there's an intensity in his face a little bit too, like what's going on there. They're almost like they're having very differing thoughts. They're not on the same page in this picture.
They were very cagey people, as I remember. I mean, they were all over what was not the internet at that point, but was all over the news.
Yeah. And I can imagine that they became that way because of their research was so controversial at the time in terms of the people who supported it and people who were very much against and wanting to shut down what they were doing. So they probably retracted a lot in terms of that and were very closed off, right?
They were.
So to get him to sit down for that shot was probably a pretty good thing there.
Well, they were sitting there and they were being interviewed.
Right. Oh, okay.
So what I'm doing is trying to walk around to them and photograph them in a way that tells a story. And that's what that is.
And when you think in terms of photography and cinematography and just an image that can tell a story, is that something you really took pride in your career with Newsday, where you can say, I can take this picture and it tells us something?
Yes. My job was to make a photograph that would stop the reader, tell him a story, like the photograph that's on there now of the carriage ride.
Yes, right, that's the carriage ride. I was going to get to that one on the Gold Coast of Long Island.
These people, I called them, horsey people. They would do this every fall. They would have a contest. They would bring these old carriages out and drive them around the Stony Brook area of Long Island for money. And it was amazing. They would, set up and dress up like that. I mean, that's what amazed me.
It is a really cool, and it's not an obvious shot. It's kind of them going away into the woods, into that kind of thing. So it's like there they are on their adventure kind of thing. So
that was the end of a story. There were other pictures in there, which I don't think I sent you, of they're in a circle driving around, and then they go off onto that. And it's a timed thing. They have to be back in a certain amount of time, and they're judged.
Now, as we wrap up here, I want to go back to the Camera Club. Where do you guys meet? Is it regular meetings? How can people get involved?
Okay, what you see here is a meeting in our education room, and we do that at least twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. We have our normal club meetings in Clubhouse 7. This one is in Clubhouse 4, next to the art studio. Our lab provides printing. If you have slides and you want to make them digital, bring them over. We can help you do it. Film. I have somebody coming in tomorrow to help with the film. We're going to turn her images into digital prints.
Oh, terrific. All right, so folks, don't be shy about that. If you don't know much about cameras, this is the place to go to learn the craft, learn it, and take some great photos. All right, John Cornell Jr., thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the Camera Club. Great fun.
You're welcome. It was a joy being here.
Thanks a lot. You're watching This Day. We'll be right back.